You ever have that feeling when you watch a movie, and you know it's more than just a film? Well, that happened to me last night. I had just gotten back from seeing Talk to Me at the theater downtown. It's that new horror flick everyone's raving about. The one with the cursed statue arm that possesses anyone who holds it and says, "Talk to me." The movie terrified me, not because it was well made or incredibly scary, but because the exact same thing happened to me. Yes, you heard that right. It happened last year while I was on vacation in Portugal. Lisbon was a dream. The beautiful architecture, the trams, the labyrinthine streets that carried the mystic aroma of pastéis de nata. I was entranced. On my last night there, I stumbled upon a house party. A small sign hanging outside read, "Everyone welcome," and being a little adventurous, I went in. The party was in full swing, people laughing, dancing, and a DJ spinning some deep house. The house itself was odd, old portraits on the walls, intricate rugs, and a peculiar collection of antiques. That's when I saw it. The statue arm. It was perched on a side table, fingers partially curled, like it was reaching out for something or someone. Someone at the party, probably a little too drunk, had an idea. "Hey, let's play a game," he slurred. "Have you guys heard of the legend of the possessed arm?" The room went silent. Even the DJ seemed to lower the volume, as if tuning into the conversation. "It's simple," he continued. "You hold the arm and say, 'Talk to me.' If you're brave enough, legend has it the arm will possess you and give you the power to speak to the dead." Everyone laughed, dismissing it as folklore or party antics. But for some reason I was drawn to it. Maybe it was the wine, or maybe it was my curiosity, but I walked over to the table and picked up the arm. The texture was unnaturally cold, even clammy. It felt like it was pulling me in. "Talk to me," I whispered. Before anyone could react, another partygoer, a young man in his 20s, snatched the arm from me. His eyes wild, he yelled, "Talk to me!" No sooner had the words left his mouth than his body convulsed. His eyes rolled back, and a scream, not human, not animal, but something else entirely, tore through the room. He clutched the statue arm tightly, his fingers turning a sickening shade of purple. "Get out of me!" he screamed, and in one swift, horrifying motion, he hurled himself out the window. Glass shattered, and people screamed. Someone called an ambulance, but we all knew it was too late. After that dreadful night in Lisbon, the arm disappeared and was never spoken of again by anyone at the party. It was as if we'd all entered into a tacit agreement, a vow of silence about what had occurred. The unspeakable terror we'd witnessed left an indelible mark on each of us. We had encountered something beyond the realms of human comprehension, ancient, malevolent, and ravenous for more. My life since then has been a labyrinth of eerie occurrences and unsettling phenomena. I've never quite managed to shake off the feeling that something otherworldly had attached itself to me that night. Clocks in my house would unexpectedly stop, only to resume their ticking at the witching hour. My reflection in mirrors seemed off, like I was looking at a version of myself from a slightly skewed dimension. I'd receive voice messages, garbled whispers really, from an anonymous source that no tech expert could trace. A year has passed, and I haven't seen the arm again. Yet its absence is as palpable as its grotesque presence that night. The dread it instilled in me never really vanished. Instead, it morphed into a constant hum in the background of my life, a dark cloud overshadowing even the happiest of moments. If you ever come across an object that draws you in with a dark, magnetic pull, an artifact like that statue arm, consider this a warning. Walk away. Don't engage. For it might not show itself again, but it leaves behind a haunting that remains long after its physical form is gone. For those of you considering watching the movie Talk to Me, I feel compelled to share this. The events depicted in that film are disturbingly close to what actually happened to me. Watching it was like reliving the trauma. Every horrifying moment played back in crystal clear detail. The memories I'd struggled to repress, to bury deep within me, surged back to the surface, as vivid as the night it all happened. As if the day-to-day dread wasn't enough, I can't escape the haunting memories. In a bid for normalcy, I tried to resume my life, work, friends, even dating. But no one could understand why I'd sometimes freeze in fear at the sound of a certain chord of music, or why the sight of any statue made me panic. How could I explain it? How could anyone understand unless they'd experienced it themselves? And then there's the therapy. Oh, the countless hours spent in that small, sunlit office, facing a therapist who tried her best to conceal her disbelief as I recounted the events. She used words like trauma and hallucinations, suggesting that perhaps the fateful night was so disturbing that my mind had altered the memories, made them more dramatic than they actually were. But I know what I saw. I know what happened. No amount of rational explanation could erase the vivid terror of that night. And my therapist's diplomas and calming words couldn't change the fact that something real had broken through that night, shattering the boundaries between the possible and the impossible. I even tried to reach out to some of the other partygoers. At first, no one wanted to talk. It seemed like everyone was attempting to move on, to forget, to seal away that night like some sort of Pandora's box. But eventually, I managed to talk to one person, Emma, who admitted she'd been experiencing similar disturbances. Clocks stopping, whispers in the dark, an overwhelming sense of dread that she couldn't shake off. She agreed that whatever had happened that night in Lisbon had long-lasting repercussions, ones that medical science or psychiatric help couldn't easily resolve. Talk to Me wasn't just a horror film for me. It was a brutal reminder of a reality I'd been trying to escape, but never could. The movie, like a malevolent specter, dragged me back to that house in Lisbon, back to the cursed arm, and back to the unspeakable terror that had marked each of us indelibly. So when you buy that ticket and sit down with your popcorn, remember this isn't just another horror movie for some of us. For some, it's an echo of a nightmarish reality that lingers long after the credits roll. For some, it's a triggering relapse into a trauma that we can never fully articulate, much less forget. Consider this my cautionary tale. Be careful what you engage with, in both film and reality. Some doors, once cracked open, release things that can never be put back. And sometimes, those things aren't just confined to the screen. They seep into your life, lurking in the shadows, always watching, always waiting for another chance to break through.